I know what the authority thinks. I know what the authority's point of view
Well,
is. Very clear that we make no discrimination on the grounds of various...
I wasn't making discrimination.
Right now, the culture war is being waged over the schooling system because there are two ways of thought. It seems that there is a very old and reactionary, conservative way of thought that the schools are supposed to teach students on how to think for themselves and how to eventually get the skills necessary so that they can get a job and take care of themselves and their family. While morality should be left to the church or at least the family unit. But there is a new way of thinking, a more progressive way of thinking, a more enlightened way of thinking, that the school is there to teach morality to students. And that the family unit isn't really important, the churches are obsolete anyway. And I want to say that this is not a new way of thinking. This is the way of thinking of the authoritarians who love institutions. They worship the institution. They worship the license, and this is what every single authoritarian regime throughout the world has done, whether it was fascism or communism or Nazism or Islamism. All of these radical authoritarian dictatorships, what they had in common was the desire to control the mind of the children. For example, Lenin has said that if you give me a child for 4 years, I will be able to plant into his mind the seeds of revolution that can never be uprooted. Mao did the same through his Cultural Revolution. And the purpose is simple, right? Like they look at children as property of the state. They look at children as an empty vessel, which can be filled with various information without the kid being able to contradict said information because he doesn't have the knowledge of the context. He doesn't really understand anything, being very early in his life. He is exploring the world and he is assimilating information that will later on be the basis on how he is going to think. So this is the major controversy right now, is should schools be the morality givers or should schools be focused on helping people finding a job? And the answer is that they should be morality givers, which is why a lot of people end up with student debt and end up being miserable and unhappy because they have the correct mindset, they have the right opinions, but they don't have the right skill level. They don't have the correct way of integrating themselves into the economy. So you get to see this in Scotland. Now, I want to point out that despite the fact that in Scotland, critical race theory is not being taught in schools, as far as I know, although I'm setting myself up for a surprise, as long as the teachers themselves believe in this ideology, they are going to make very interesting decisions, such as banning the most famous book that I know of from the United States, To Kill a Mockingbird. And the reason I say is the most famous that I know from the United States is that every one of my friends have read it. Like, I'm in Romania, in Eastern Europe, very, very far away from the source material. But I can't name a single person that doesn't know To Kill a Mockingbird. If they haven't read the book, they have seen the movie. It's a very famous, very good, I would say, masterpiece that has been made by the United States. And I think it's famous all around the world, not just in Europe, not just in Scotland, not just in the US. It's a brilliant piece of literature, and it speaks volume to the people that read it. Now, it's important to point out that in Scotland, the schooling system is kind of messed up. I mean, there were major complaints during the last controversy where one student said that he believes there are only two genders.
You're entitled to your opinion.
If I am, then why would you kick me out of class? It's not very inclusive of
Can I finish my
opinion.
sentence, please? Not very inclusive. No, I'm sorry, what you were saying was not very inclusive, and this is an inclusive school.
Yeah, how was what I was saying?
Because I was saying that what's wrong with the website is that there are more than one gender in
Well,
this country.
that's
by law.
your opinion.
That is my opinion, and that is an opinion which is acceptable in the school. I'm afraid yours, which you're saying that there's no such thing as anyone other than male or female, is not
Scientifically,
inclusive.
there are just two genders, depending on what
I get it.
gender
But you're choosing to make an issue of this, because I said, are you really going to? That was your opportunity to keep quiet. Opportunity not to pursue it. You chose to do so.
Yeah, because I think it's
You
silly.
chose to do so. Yes, that's the key question. You chose to do so.
I think it's silly to have anything other than two genders. So
That, okay. Could
Anything
you please,
else is a
could you
personal
please
opinion.
keep that opinion to your own house? Thank you. Not in the
so
school.
you get to put your opinion out in class, and my
No,
opinion. has to-
I am not.
My
putting
opinion has to stay
I am
inside
not
my house.
putting my opinion. I am not putting my opinion out. I am stating what is national school authority policy. Okay?
Well, it's not scientific whatsoever.
Not every policy is scientific. Not every policy is scientific.
And you can't come out here and say that I'm not being inclusive when someone says
I
something you
didn't say.
disagree with. So
I said what you were saying was not being
you
inclusive.
kicked me out of class. If you want to have a discussion about it, we could have done it, had a discussion. You don't have to kick me out of class.
I'm
and
sorry,
Waste
but
30 minutes of my time, where I could have been down revising, doing something else. Instead, I state something I believe in. You kick me out of class for 30 minutes, and I'm waiting on the.
Take this somewhere else. You can make an official complaint.
I'm not
Please
going to
do.
make an official complaint.
Why not?
I just think it's.
I know what you think, and I know what the authority thinks. I know what the authority's point of view
Well, I know
is.
what science thinks.
Very clear that we make no discrimination on the grounds of various.
I wasn't making discrimination. I'm simply saying there are two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Anything else is a personal identification.
I'm sorry, but you chose to make an issue of making a point which is contrary to policy.
You
right?
made the issue when you complained about the website, sir.
Yes, and I made it in a way.
And I responded to
and
that
I
by
made,
saying, but there are only two genders.
and
I never
said
made the issue.
That I am not going here. You can choose, but you're making bad choices.
I'm making bad choices, okay.
I think-
Well, can I take my bag and go to the research area and start revising
No,
it?
you can stay here.
Okay, I'll stay here. Thanks for wasting my time.
And this was enough to get him in trouble with the principal office, which took the student away and told him that this is not what the school thinks and he should not say that anymore. And because the student refused to, he was suspended. And after the media shitstorm went away, they expelled the student just for disagreeing with the teacher on something that's supposed to be subjective. It's supposed to be up for debate. I mean, it's not math. It's not 2 + 2 = 4, but 2 + 2 = 4 is actually up for debate nowadays. But the number of genders is definitely not. And with this in mind, understanding like how the Scottish school system seems to be operating, the same book is being banned in California. It's being banned in Scotland. So as well as other famous books, such as Dr. Seuss. And the question is like, why is this happening, right? And the reason is that the ideology that is demanding that these books be banned has neo-Marxism at its roots. And neo-Marxism believes that by controlling what an individual gets exposed to, by controlling the information that an individual gets to hear, then you can control the individual. So in other words, by banning literature that has certain key concepts within it, that the individual might listen to them and be persuaded by them, by banning that, then the individual will never be exposed to those concepts, so he will never even think about it. What I'm trying to say, okay, like maybe I didn't articulate it properly. What I'm trying to say is that this book has the concept that mob justice is wrong, that people can make fake rape accusations, that collectivizing people based on skin color is wrong. Even though you have a system where all the white people are oppressors, you still have certain white people that are trying to fight the system because every system has revolutionaries. And even though you have like certain people that are oppressed and are bad, you can't collectivize and say all of them are like that, because you clearly have like people who are good. So it's against the idea of collectivizing people based on their skin color. It's against the idea of mob justice. It's against the idea of of rape accusations not being investigated and assuming that someone is guilty just by hearing the accusation. And of course, progressives can't have any of this shit. Of course, progressives can't think that a kid is going to read this and he's going to say, well, hold on a little bit. When we go out and we do our activism, aren't we the ones that are doing the mob justice? Like, aren't we the ones with the pitchforks? When someone like Johnny Depp gets accused of domestic violence, should we automatically believe that he did it? Should we automatically take the accuser's word without any investigation whatsoever? Do we not need to listen to his side of the story? Do we not need to let the courts decide and to have all the evidence being brought up, her side, his side? So they can't have these concepts. They can't have this concept. But what is worse of it is that this book appeals to a person's humanity. It doesn't matter that the person being accused is black. He is a human being. And it tries to transcend identity politics in a way that most books at the time weren't doing so. And it's like what is happening to him is unjust, not because he's a black man, but it's unjust because he's a human being just like you and I. And that is like the ethos of the book. And they can't have that because if you read some of their garbage literature from the academia, there is this lady, this anti-racist lady, I forgot her name, like maybe I should remember their names because it makes you look more intelligent when you name drop the scholar, right? But she was saying that people should stop using the frame happens to be black, and instead they should use the frame is black. Because happens to be black puts universal humanity in front of identity. This is how these people think, all right? Like, the problem is most people still think in liberalism and they speak in liberalism. So they have charitable interpretation of what they want to do and what they want to accomplish. In reality, you shouldn't be charitable with them because they're using your charity as a Trojan horse in order to get past your defenses and install division, install all of this hatred that they're doing between people, banning, works of literature that have been classics so that then they can claim, oh, well, the U.S. have no culture. Well, To Kill a Mockingbird is part of U.S. culture. Like it's so powerful that it's being read all around the world. And these are the same people that are going to be, it's like, oh, so what is the culture of the U.S.? What is British culture? It's like, well, you kind of try to ban it. That's everything you try to ban is British culture. Let's put it like that. Man, I should be quoted with this. Like when a progressive asks, like, what is American culture? Everything you try to ban. That is the answer. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comments section. Take care.